Hi everyone, thank you very much. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to this classic movie review. It's been about a week now that Mr. Paul Reubens has passed away on the 30th of July 2023. And I know I'm a little late to the party on this one, but I recently rewatched one of my all-time favorite comedies that I grew up with from the 1980s, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Came out in 1985, the first film from Mr. Tim Burton. This is one of those movies that I watched over and over again as a kid with my cousins, with my big sister, and I've always loved this movie. Recently sat down to check it out again, and just thought I would share my thoughts on this film with everybody. And yeah, this is my little tribute to Mr. Paul Reubens, one of my favorite personalities. He was more than just an actor and a comedian. He was a performance artist, much like the great Andy Kaufman, who would get lost in his personas. And uh, for a long time we thought, Peewee Herman was it, and then later on we realized, oh, there's actually a man behind Peewee Herman, Mr. Paul Reubens. And uh, yeah, it's sad to see him go. He will be missed, but at least we have all the laughter that he gave us. He gave millions of people a lot of joy with his work, his stand-up, Pee-wee's Playhouse, a show that I grew up with, his movies. He had many parts in many other films. He would pop up in a lot of sitcoms every now and then. One of my favorite things I ever saw him in that he always would crack me up uh, was his part in Everybody Loves Raymond. He came out in an episode as a character who was the owner of a comic book shop that gives Raymond a very hard time in that episode. One of my favorite ones. So yeah, this guy was hilarious, and as Pee Wee Herman, he was always on fire in that character. It was his niche. It was his calling, the part he was born to play. As soon as this film begins and we see the opening credits and you hear that music that plays through the credits, anybody that's a fan of Tim Burton's work or is familiar with his movies is going to recognize the sound behind that music. And of course, it belongs to Mr. Danny Elfman, Tim Burton's longtime collaborator. This would be the first time that they worked together on a film. And of course, they would work together for many of Tim Burton's movies. I love the scores for many of his films. I think Danny Elfman's music is not just terrific, but it's perfect for Tim Burton's style. And it really does add that excitement, that childlike quality that you want in a movie like this. Even though this is technically a family film and a film for younger viewers, since it is a Tim Burton film, we all know that he likes to put things in his movies that can tend to be a bit creepy. And of course, Elfman's music is really great in highlighting those creepy factors in Tim Burton's movies and just bringing it out a little bit more. And Tim Burton's visuals and Danny Elfman's music complement each other beautifully. And this movie is great at making moments where you are going to laugh and you're also going to probably jump out of your seat, especially if you're about 6 years old or under. You just might run out of the room at certain scenes. And yeah, the music plays a big part in that. There are times where it gets pretty creepy. And we all know Tim Burton likes to, add, creepy clowns every now and then, and images that are going to disturb younger viewers. The plot of this film is very simple. Basically, Pee Wee Herman's bike is stolen, and he goes on this cross-country trip, this adventure to find his bike. So it's kind of a road trip movie where he meets all kinds of different funny, quirky characters. He gets in a car when he's hitchhiking with like this escaped convict, and they have some funny moments between the two of them. There's this infamous large Marge scene that, as I mentioned before, is one of those moments that's going to creep little kids out. As far as other like moments that are like creepy, trippy dream sequences, uh, there is a moment where he sees a psychic who gives him some pretty faulty information, pretty shady little phony psychic lady who tells him that his bike is somewhere. So, he sets out to go to find his bike at this location. Don't want to spoil where exactly. Very much like the character of Pee Wee Herman himself, this movie doesn't take itself too seriously, and you can kind of get that impression when he wakes up in the morning for his daily routine. When he gets up and there's all these little gizmos and gadgets that make his breakfast for him, shooting pancakes into the ceiling. And he's wearing pajamas, and then he slides down a pole, and he comes out the other side with his little perfect suit and bow tie on all perfectly and everything. The movie is letting you know this is not taking itself too seriously, which I think really adds to the charm of the film. And when he leaves the house with his bike, he comes across a couple of characters that we meet. There's the character of Francis, who's kind of like Pee Wee Herman's rival, and as soon as Pee Wee Herman's bike shows up stolen, he immediately assumes that he's the one that took it. And there's some funny scenes between the two of them. The actor that plays Francis, Mark Holton, is someone that we saw pop up in movies back in the day, movies like Teen Wolf, and I also remember he was in A League of Their Own as the grown-up version of the little boy that was very annoying on the bus, that was annoying everybody in that movie. There's also the character of Dottie, played by E.G. Daily. She was an actress that we saw in a lot of films back then. She was in movies like Valley Girl. I remember she popped up in Better Off Dead. Further down on his adventure, Pee-wee meets the character of Simone, played by Diane Salinger, and they become friends in the film, and they have some nice moments together, and he kind of inspires her to follow her dream. I advise younger viewers, though, beware of the dream sequences in this movie, and beware of the large Marge scene. Just, that's a fair warning right there. Fair warning for you. But, there's great use in this movie of, Tim Burton's imagination and, like the stop motion animation that he would, put in movies like this and like Beetlejuice. And, a little bit of that made its way into his first Batman as well. A little more subtle in that, but, there's moments where you see some definite cartoon eyes. This is a kid's movie, this is a family movie, but there are moments in this movie that just might send a younger kid running out of the room. Speaking from experience, I gotta tell you, gotta be honest. But this movie is still a lot of fun, and Paul Reubens, Peewee Herman makes it fun. He's just, it's infectious. His laughter, his the way he just carries himself, the way he just doesn't really take things very seriously. It's very, very in the spirit of the movie, and it's just full of joy. It's full of, just happiness, and it reminds me of why I fell in love with Pee Wee's Playhouse, why I watched this guy for years, and watching this movie over again made me feel like a kid again. And that's the magic of the movies. That's the magic of somebody like Tim Burton collaborating with people like this to bring an experience like this. And of course, Tim Burton would go on to have this great career after this because this movie is so creative, so innovative in the way it tells this very simple story, but makes it fun and exciting and something that kids and adults can enjoy together. This is a movie that I highly recommend that everybody check out if they haven't seen it. If you're a Tim Burton fan, if you want to check out some of his early work, because of the level of creativity all throughout this movie, this is a 4-star comedy in my humble opinion. I love this movie, always have, always will, and I will always recommend this movie to people that just want to enjoy a good comedy and a good family movie. This is a movie that can be found on streaming services, but like I'm always saying, hard copies are out there, and this is my copy of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This is my DVD, and as you can see, that is Pee-wee Herman there on the cover with that bicycle. Thank you all very much for joining me for this classic movie review. I very much appreciate you watching. Those of you that are new to the channel, if you're into this kind of thing, and if you're into classic movies, hit that bell and subscribe, and look out for more classic movie reviews. Those of you that are returning viewers, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much for your support. And don't forget to look out for the next one. Please don't forget to share, comment, and like if you like the video. And I'll see you next time. Thank you all very much. Take care. God bless.